we are chatting up about what's the mood of corporate India ahead of the budget. Deloitte has conducted a pretty exhaustive survey, a corporate survey ahead of the budget, which also takes a dipstick on what's the mood on ground. Sanjay Kumar is joining us now to discuss exactly that. Sanjay, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Before we talk about the insights we gathered out of this survey, let's start by understanding the size and scope of the survey. How did you go about administering it, and what are the representation of companies? What was the role of SMEs when you went out and cast your net wide to understand what's the mood on ground ahead of the budget?
Oh, thanks for having me on this show, and this is really a great opportunity. So let me say that Deloitte has been doing this survey over the last 2 years. Last year was the first year, and this year the second year. Good part is that the coverage is quite wide. We got almost like 170 responses or so, and out of that, almost like 18%, or almost call it about 1/5, are from the MSME sector. And when we say MSME sector, we mean that those whose turnover is less than 250 crores. And then 38% are the middle ones, which is between 250 to 3,000 crores. And the large ones are, of course, 44%. I would consider that this has been a very wide and encouraging to get the understanding from the MSME sector as well. So.
Right. Sanjay, in your discussions with some of the representatives of these companies, what were your observation about the work done so far? Which of the government schemes have they really benefited most or have been impacted positively most? Because that will give us a direction on what are the expectations on the side of what more additional policy measures to be expected.
Sure. I mean, Ajay, we had a number of questions from each of the industry segments, and typically the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan was considered one of the most favored one. Close to about 91% of the respondents felt that it has been a great project. And if I break it into MSME or large and very large, almost like 47% MSME said that it is a good, project to have, and then 59% from the large, and 68% from very large. And if I break it into that among the Atmanirbhar, what are the areas that people are asking for more is. They are talking about the industrial clusters, they are talking about the R&D, they are talking about supply chain reforms and many other things. But two things I would want to position here is having the industrial clusters and R&D. These were the two key clear asks from the Atmanirbhar Bharat. And it got a very overwhelming support. Two industries, automobiles and electronics, they supported it 100%. So that is really a standout.
Mm-hmm. Right. Sanjay, if you could also give us an indication of what kind of industries actually participated in the survey. Were there some new age industries as well? What was the role of manufacturing? Was it widely spread? Because that will also give us a very good view on how balanced was it. Did it have voice of almost every sector? If you could share some of those things.
So the 10 industry segments were covered. They covered from the white goods to automobile sector, to electronics, to life sciences and healthcare, banking, financial services. I mean, it was very wide. And if I say 10 industry segments, then you can easily make out that the survey was very widespread.
Mm-hmm. Sanjay, what additional measures do you think government can actually take be it at the budget or outside of it, in order to make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, even more effective than it currently is? Surely it has given a big fillip to several industries and manufacturing has kick-started. But what else would it require for us to really start against the global benchmarks and being compared to that level? How can we iron out the wrinkles?
Ajay, if you recall, just a few minutes ago, I mentioned about the industrial clusters that has been there, and let's go a little deep into that. And if you see that the companies are looking for kind of building a good synergy, trying to focus on one of the a particular industry, something what has happened in one of the states, and the government could take it forward and try and build some kind of policy measures by which it developed the industrial clusters. Government brought out for textile sector the mega textiles park, which is going to have environmental aspects. It will try and look at whether the effluents are coming out, and something a help on that will allow not only the large and very large industries to come there, but also the MSME, which is really the backbone of our industrial segment, including for other countries too. So that is one aspect. The second one, most of the companies asked for was the R&D. Typically the R&D and investment, the correlation is very poor. But most of the countries, call it in Asia Pacific or in OECD, almost like more than 75% of the countries in these two regions give the R&D incentive. So India, in that manner, with 100% R&D coming, expenditure being allowed, could move to slightly higher, call it about 200%, and try and see how well we can build on, we can enthuse our industries to bring more innovation in the products, be it or in service delivery, and become far more competitive. And that is something which even the service showed. Surveys said that 38% of the respondents across the industries supported R&D incentive in the budget.
The one thing which stood out when I was reading your survey was about group taxation. Now, this is quite an important area, even when we speak to a lot of corporates. What was the general opinion among the corporates you surveyed on the issue of taxation? Also, how do you see the technology-related push or thrust of the government? Do you see that being widened as well? Your thoughts on these two areas?
Sure, Ajay. I mean, if you recall, last year the government said that one of the budget pillars were physical and digital infrastructure. Now, infrastructure is definitely, and it attracted last year 26% enhancement, which was a major leap forward. Now, the question is, how do we bring more private sector into in the infrastructure? Now, typically, you have SPVs, which are implementing roads or power projects. And each of these SPVs are different. However, the promoter could be the same. The major promoter could be the same. Now, if there is a chance to bring a group taxation, consolidated filing, then compliance becomes better. Even the bankers' comfort improves. And more importantly, if one particular SPV is not doing well, then that can be supported by under the same promoter from the other SPV. Of course, there will be some anti-abuse provisions that the government can consider to make sure that these provisions are not abused and benchmark it with the international standards. So that will bring far more viability for the private players and more money in their pocket, so that then they can take up many more infrastructure projects. So that is what is meant by the group taxation. And if I can mention that when we did survey last year, about 38% people were aware or supported group taxation. But this year, 81% of the industry that we went to supported group taxation. So group taxation is something, is the desire of the industry. On the question of technology, government has already moved on to the technology, and it's a time for others to, the industry to do catch up. And the idea, be it on tax, on and various other compliances. But more important, if I'm talking about technology, I'm also talking about that how do I build on my strength? About 1,300 plus MNEs have their global capability centers in this country, generating almost like more than 10 lakh jobs or so. Now, we have to move on that to the next level. Now, that is definitely a service industry, and we need to consider how best we can build on and bring regional headquarters to India, because that would mean more profit attributed to India, more jobs being created, and higher level of jobs, which will give a lot more satisfaction to the people. Otherwise, our neighbors, Singapore and Dubai, on either side, are cornering away large number of RSQ. And many of the GCCs, Global Capability Centers that we have in India, have their RHQs, regional headquarters in these two countries. So government could consider something like that, some measures. We have submitted some papers to government, and government could consider having a look at that.
Right. All right, Sanjay, we'll let you go on that one. Thanks so much for your time and sharing your insights from the Deloitte corporate survey ahead of the budget. With